If you're hearing this, Tobi, if you're hearing this, it means I couldn't tell you in person.
Every midnight, my dead girlfriend sent me a voice note. Not a memory, not a dream, a blue tick, a play button, her voice. I want to tell you what happened to me in Lagos last year. Not because I want sympathy, but because somewhere in this story is a warning. And by the time I understood it, it was already too late to save the person I loved. My name is Tobi Adewale. This is the story of the 11 voice notes that ended one life and exposed another.
I was a software engineer, 29. The kind of man who believed every problem had a root cause you could trace, log, and fix. Amara broke that belief the moment she laughed at one of my terrible jokes at a tech meetup in Yaba and said, "You're funnier than your code." We got engaged 14 months later. She ran a small logistics startup with her business partner, Chidi Okoro, a smart, restless man who Amara trusted completely and who I tolerated the way you tolerate a brother-in-law you didn't choose. Amara had one strange habit. She counted things in her head. Steps, seconds, heartbeats. "It keeps me here," she used to say. "In the present, not in what happened before." I never asked her what before meant. I regret that more than anything. On the 9th of March, her car went off the 3rd mainland bridge at 11:47 p.m. The police report said mechanical failure, brake fluid leak, rain-slicked road, an accident, clean and tragic, the kind Lagos swallows every year without asking questions. I buried her 3 weeks later. My elder brother David stood beside me at the funeral, his hand steady on my shoulder the entire time. David had always been the reliable one, the one who paid our father's hospital bills alone, the one who told me to stay strong for the family. I didn't even say a single word to him that day. I didn't need to. He was just there, solid, safe. I thought grief was the worst thing that could happen to me. I was wrong. 2 months after the funeral, at exactly midnight, my phone buzzed. A WhatsApp voice note from Amara's number. I remember laughing, a broken, ugly sound, because I assumed someone had cloned her SIM, some cruel prank from a stranger who'd read about her death online. I almost deleted it. I pressed play instead. "Tobi, if you're hearing this, it means I couldn't tell you in person. Don't be afraid of me. Just listen carefully. Count the seconds between my words. I taught you that trick for a reason." Her voice, not a recording I recognized, not our old chats, new words, new breath. I called the number immediately. It rang and rang, then disconnected, the way it does when a line no longer exists. The next night, at exactly midnight, another note arrived. "There's something wrong with the Q3 shipment numbers at the company. Ask Chidi why he moved money through 3 different accounts before asking me to sign the audit." I sat in the dark of my apartment, sweating, heart slamming against my ribs. I tried to show the message to my brother David when he came by the next morning. I opened WhatsApp. The chat was empty. No voice note, no trace, not even a message deleted notice, just silence, as if it had never arrived at all. "Tobi," David said gently, taking my hand the way our mother used to. "You need to see someone. Grief does strange things to the mind." I almost believed him. Almost. The voice notes kept coming. Always midnight. Always gone from the chat log by morning. As if some invisible hand erased them the second the sun rose. But never before I'd absorbed every word, every number, every name. I started keeping a notebook, old-fashioned, untouchable by whatever was scrubbing my phone. Message 3 sent me digging into the company servers Chidi still had access to. I found exactly what she'd described. Money split across accounts registered to shell companies with Chidi's mother's maiden name. My chest tightened with a strange, dangerous joy. A suspect, a reason, someone to blame. Message 4 was colder. Uncle Ephraim called again about the land in Ikorodu. He said if I don't sign it over to the family trust before the wedding, there will be consequences. Tobi, please don't trust him with anything that involves paperwork. Amara's family had been fighting over inherited land for years. Her uncle Ephraim, a retired customs officer with a goblin debt problem, had motive dripping off every syllable. I began watching him, following him, once even confronting him outside his church in Sulureri. He denied everything, sweating through his agbada, swearing on his mother's grave. Message 5 turned towards someone closer. Bola came to see me today. She said she forgives me, but her eyes didn't. I think she never got over you, Tobi. I think some people don't let go the way they say they do. Bola, Amara's childhood best friend, the woman I dated briefly in university before Amara and I ever met. I hadn't spoken to her in 3 years. When I finally tracked her down, she cried until she nearly collapsed, insisting she loved Amara like a sister. I believed her. I didn't know who to believe anymore. Every message peeled back a layer of Amara's life I never knew existed. A woman quietly documenting the people circling her like sharks smelling blood in still water. Chidi, Ephraim, Bola, even once a stranger she called only the man from the gym who wouldn't stop parking outside our estate. I built a wall of red string in my spare room, like a man losing his mind because I was. Nobody else could hear the voice notes. Not my brother. Not the police detective I begged to open the case again. Not even the phone repair technician I paid to recover deleted WhatsApp data, who found nothing. No logs, no metadata, no trace that any message had ever arrived. Oga, it's either you are dreaming or somebody won't use your matter play juju for your head. Maybe I was losing my mind, but the numbers in the shell accounts were real. The land dispute was real. Bola's tears were real. Something was very wrong, and it wasn't only in my head. By the 9th voice note, Amara's tone had changed completely. Tired, rehearsed, like someone reading from a script she'd written and rewritten, terrified of getting it wrong. Tobi, if you followed everything I've shown you, you already suspect 3 people. Good. I needed you to look at all of them because I needed to be sure it wasn't one of them. I was wrong about who to fear. I understand that now. I'm sorry it took me this long to see it. Then, static. Then, nothing. I played it back 11 times, my hands shaking. I was wrong about who to fear. Not Chidi, not Ephraim, not Bola. Someone else. That same week, chasing a thread that wouldn't leave me alone, I finally got a court order to access Amara's personal cloud backup. The one thing WhatsApp couldn't erase because it lived outside the app entirely on a private server she'd paid for herself. What I found there stopped my heart. Every single voice note, all 9 I'd received and 2 more I hadn't yet, sat in a folder time-stamped 4 months before her death. She had recorded them all in one long, terrified night, 3 weeks before our wedding date, using a scheduling bot she'd built herself, a little script hidden in a folder called justincase.exe,
that would release one message per week at midnight to a device she registered under a name that wasn't mine on a network she'd paid for anonymously so that no one, not even me, not at first, could trace the sender or prove the messages existed at all. She hadn't been speaking to me from beyond the grave. She had known, months before it happened, that someone intended to kill her. And she built a machine to make sure that even after she was silenced, her voice would keep talking one careful week at a time so that whoever was watching her phone in real time would never see the evidence arrive all at once and destroy it. She hadn't been haunting me. She'd been protecting me, slowly, deliberately, from beyond a death she saw coming. The 10th note arrived on schedule at midnight, 3 days after I found the cloud backup. My hands were already shaking before I pressed play. Tobi, listen to me carefully now. I recorded this last because it was the hardest thing to say. Someone has been asking about my movement, my meetings, my late night at the office, even which route I take home. Someone who would never be a suspect because he's family, because you trust him with your life. I don't have proof yet. I only have a feeling and a name I'm afraid to speak. If something happens to me, check the maintenance logs on my car for the week before the wedding. Ask who scheduled the appointment. Ask who picked up the vehicle from the mechanic. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I drove to the small auto shop in Ojota that serviced Amara's car. The owner remembered the appointment clearly, booked by phone 2 days before the crash for a routine brake check. He remembered the man who picked the car up afterward too, because he tipped generously and joked with the mechanics about football. He described him perfectly. Tall, broad-shouldered, a faint scar above his left eyebrow from a childhood accident, a voice that dropped low and warm when he laughed. My brother, David. I confronted him that night at our late father's house in Ikeja, the 11th and final voice note burning in my pocket like a coal. David sat very still when I played it for him. Amara's voice, weeks before her death, finally finding the courage to speak the name she'd been too afraid to say out loud until the very end. Tobi, it's David. I found the wire transfers from Papa's account, the ones he's been quietly draining for 2 years to cover his gambling losses at the Lekki tables. I confronted him last week. He begged me not to tell you, said it would destroy the family, said he'd fix it before the wedding. But there was something in his eyes when he said it, something that scared me more than the money ever did. If you're hearing this, please don't let him near you the way he's near me. The room went silent, except for the hum of the old ceiling fan. David's face didn't crumble the way I expected. It hardened like something long buried finally given permission to surface. She was going to tell you everything, he said quietly. The company, Papa's account, everything I'd built to keep this family standing while you were off coding in your comfortable little office, never once asking where the money for your school fees actually came from. She threatened to take it all from me, from us. I only wanted to scare her into silence, Tobi. I swear before God, I only meant to scare her that night on the bridge. I asked him, my voice a stranger's voice, why he let me spend months chasing Chidi, chasing Ephraim, chasing Bola, watching me unravel in front of him and saying nothing. Because it worked, he said simply. Every name she gave you kept you looking everywhere except at me. The scheduling bot she built wasn't just insurance against her death. It was insurance against exactly this, against a killer clever enough, close enough, trusted enough to steer the investigation himself. She had known that whoever loved me most in the world might also be the one person capable of making me doubt my own eyes. She built a machine that couldn't be threatened, bribed, or silenced. In the end, her voice outlived every lie he told. David was arrested 2 weeks later, after the auto shop owner identified him formally, and forensic accountants traced 18 months of stolen company funds straight to a betting syndicate in Lekki.
The tampered brake line was confirmed by an independent mechanic hired by the prosecution. It was never really an accident. It never should have looked like one for as long as it did. I still have the notebook, 11 pages, one for each message. Some nights, long after the trial ended, I opened WhatsApp out of habit, half hoping, half terrified that a 12th note might arrive. It never does. There were only ever 11. She planned it so precisely. Enough messages to save my life, not one more than necessary to convict the man who ended hers. People ask me if I believe in ghosts now. I tell them the truth. I don't think Amara ever came back from anywhere. I think she simply refused to leave without making sure the people who loved her were finally safe from the ones who didn't. Sometimes, love isn't loud. Sometimes, it's a woman alone in a room at midnight, recording 11 quiet warnings for a man she wouldn't live to marry, betting everything on the hope that he'd be brave enough someday to listen.